Thank you, Dakota. Morning, everybody. Just a lot. I want to see if there's a big glare on it. Nobody's thinking I'm training for boxing. I have volume movement there. See my notes. It's good to see everybody. As most of you know, life has its ups and downs. And so much so that we even have a saying, life has its little ups and downs. Yes, it does. But it also has its big ups and downs. The thing about ups and downs is that temptation usually comes with these big ups and downs. So often it comes with the ups. But most assuredly and more often it comes with the downs. Little or big, there is temptation all around us in all of life's ups and downs. Joseph's life was certainly filled with ups and downs. We all know the story of Joseph. He had up and down after up and down. These are the kind of trials, the kind of ups and downs that we all face, really. Our text is Genesis 37, 19 through 36, and Genesis 39, if you would like to look at the text. So, as we look at the text, we see how Joseph handled these trials, these ups and downs. And he handled them very well. He handled them the way we all should handle them. So obviously we learn much from studying this story. Some years back, Disney Pixar collaborated on an animated film. And this young boy had a lot of toys, and he had a birthday. And as animated films go, the toys can talk. One particular toy happened to be a dinosaur. And Mariah has, for some reason, has fallen in love with dinosaurs. And she gets so excited, she just shakes all over. Dinosaur! It's really cute the way she says it. Because you don't get very much dino, but you do get sore emphatically. Anyway, this dinosaur at this birthday party was afraid and worried that Andy was going to get another dinosaur. And he was worried because he was a timid dinosaur. What if Andy gets a mean dinosaur? I just don't think I can handle that rejection. We all have issues on some level of rejection. And that was one of Joseph's big trials. The trial of rejection. Genesis 37, 19 through 36. In verses 12 through 17, we have the setting for this. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." And he said to him, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word." So he sent him from the valley of Hebron. He came to Shechem. And a man found him wandering in the fields. And the man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I'm seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock." And the man said, "They have gone away. For I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. Now this was the dry season. Thus they were grassing the flocks further and further away from home being Hebron. And in this area, they dug pits or cisterns around the area for the purpose of water. Shechem was about 2 days' journey from home, and Dothan was about another day's journey. So Joseph had been traveling for some 3 days or so, and having to go further than expected. And you can imagine Dad back home, well, okay, a couple more days he'll be home. But he doesn't know that he has to travel an extra day. And so we get to this rejection in verses 23 through 28. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the robe of many colors that he wore. And they took him and cast him into a pit. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. Now remember, previously he had brought back a bad report about his brothers to their father. So they see him and grab him and take the coat of many colors off of him and throw him in this pit. There's no water in it, it's dry. Then they sat down to eat. And looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels bearing gum, balm, and myrrh on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then Midianite traders passed by, and they drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. How must he have felt when he finally found his brothers, and when he reached them? They didn't just give him a hard time. They grabbed him forcefully, stripped him of his coat, and threw him into a pit. That seems quite cruel and heartless. Now, I've got a brother. He's older, not younger, but we've butted heads before, but I've never really thought about taking action as to throw him into a pit where he basically got no way to live. You throw him in the pit, you leave him there, he's going to die. How cruel and heartless these brothers were to him. They threw him into this pit to die. And they sat down and ate. And they ignored his cries of alarm. Genesis 42:21. Then they said to one another, "Truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us for his life. Yet we would not listen. Therefore this distress has come upon us." Surely he had never realized or thought how truly they hated him until they threw him in that pit. Now that's a pretty major rejection. But then there is a preceding rejection of Joseph. Remember our Bible reading. Joseph was his father's favorite son. It was 200 miles to Egypt. Now, if you're in this situation and you have this kind of relationship with your father, don't you think he might be thinking about that on the way? Don't you think he might be thinking, my father loves me, he is a wealthy man, he will investigate and find out what's happened to me, and he will come after me and rescue me. he can easily buy me back. Surely he kept looking behind him, over his shoulder, for his father to catch up to him. But he never came. Now, we know why he didn't come, but Joseph couldn't have known why his father didn't rescue him. Have you ever wondered why, when Joseph became second in command in Egypt, the only person above Joseph in Egypt was Pharaoh himself? There's almost nothing in Egypt that Joseph couldn't do. Now, have you ever thought that in that position, why did he never travel the 200 miles of smooth road to see his father? Is it not possible, and maybe even quite probable, that he didn't want to see his father because he perceived that his father had rejected him? See, he didn't know his brothers were that malicious. That they put blood of an animal all over Joseph's coat, sent it to their father, said, "You know whether or not this is your son's coat. If it is, there you go. Be dead." Great compassion among these brothers. Joseph didn't know that. He's wondering, why has my father not come to get me? He's received a very heavy rejection. But if he had only known why his father didn't come to him, if he'd only known what the Scripture tells us, that they took Joseph's coat, killed a kid, dipped it in blood, sent it to their father. And when he saw it, he knew it was his son's coat. And he rent his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All of Jacob's sons and daughters rose up, tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. He said, "For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning." Thus the father wept for him. If Joseph had only known, he might have made it that 200-mile journey to see his father. This was a perceived rejection. But for Joseph, it didn't make it any less of a rejection, since he didn't know the details. A perceived rejection is just as effective as an actual rejection on a person's feelings. This 17-year-old boy, roundabout, had been rejected by everyone he held dear. But there's a response to this rejection. Genesis 37 and 36. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. You got a little break in the Joseph story in Genesis 38. That's about Judah and Tamar. But Joseph's story is resumed in Genesis 39, verse 2 and following. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. From the time that he made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The blessing of the Lord was on all that he did, in house and field. Excuse me. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge. And because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Wouldn't it be great to be that secure? Not have to worry about anything. I need to worry about his food I eat. Joseph went from being a favorite son of a wealthy man to a slave in a foreign land. From a very great up to a very great down. How do you think Joseph might have reacted? There are some natural reactions that we can all think about and sympathize with. Maybe he thought, they had the same lasting move. It would have been easy for him to become bitter and sullen and plot his escape and revenge on those betraying brothers of his. I'll show them. But he didn't either. He didn't become bitter or sullen. He didn't plot an escape or revenge. Instead, he evidently did two great things. He turned to the Lord in his great hour of trial. It's evident that he turned to the Lord from the repeated saying, the Lord was with him, and from the subsequent life of Joseph. It's a very smart move on his part. And it would be a very smart move on our part as well. Smart for a couple of reasons. One, the Lord is, or was, and still is, in control of the whole situation. He was in control of Joseph's situation. He's in control of our situation. He is in control of everything on this terrestrial globe. The Lord is in control of the whole situation. Genesis 45 and 8 says, so then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, Lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt. God still runs things. And this is still a good reason to turn to him. Another reason is that the Lord had not rejected. He had not left or betrayed Joseph in any way. The consistent theme of the story of Joseph in Egypt is the Lord was with him. You know, people will let you down. Family will let you down sometimes. And sometimes it's not purposefully. Sometimes it's just, we're people. We're imperfect. Sometimes we let each other down. And sadly, even sometimes, the church may very well let you down. But remember, that's people. That's not God. God will never let you down. How often He assures and reassures us in His Word, saying, I am with you. To Isaac, He said, stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and bless you. Genesis 26 and 23, or Genesis 26 and 3. To Jacob, He said, go back to the land of your fathers, and I will be with you. Genesis 31 and 3. To Joshua, He said, no one will be able to stand up against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Joshua 1 and 5. He could just as well say to you, as I was with Joshua, so I will be with you. One thing that Joseph did that we would do well to learn and strive to do is that he made the best of a bad situation. Instead of getting bitter and sullen and retaliatory, he made the best of it. Now, I know it's a cliche, and it's easier said than done, but it's still what Joseph did, and it's still what we need to do. We need to make the best of bad situations. Joseph evidently decided, if I have to be a slave, I'll be the best slave I can be. It's familiar to me. Whatever lot in life you may be in, set out to do as good a job as if God Almighty called you to this particular moment in history to do it. Set out to do a good job, whatever it is, and to do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot in life to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the reel. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. No matter what situation you're in, no matter whatever falls before you, don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. We have little or no say over most of the bad things that happen to us. But we do have control over how we're going to react to them. It may take us a little while to get our bearings, as they say, or to adjust to the situation at first, but we can come to terms with it, with the Lord's help, when we know that He is with us. The knowledge and faith that God remains with us gives us courage and contentment. Hebrews 13, 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For He has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do to me. No matter what happens to you, God will be with you to help you bear it and even triumph over it. God will be with you. He promises that. But that's a conditional promise. It's always been a conditional promise. 2 Chronicles 15:2. The Lord is with you while you are with Him. And if you seek Him, He will be found of you. But if you forsake Him, He will forsake you. 1 John 1 and 7. But if we walk in the light as He is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Jesus Christ His Son cleanses us from all sins. That means if you're not walking in the light, then you're not having fellowship one with another. And the blood of Jesus Christ His Son is not cleansing you from your sins. Joseph did that. He sought the Lord, and the Lord was found. He was with the Lord, and the Lord was with him. He walked in the light. Even before Jesus walked the earth, Joseph walked in his life. Joseph did that. And we must do that. No matter what happens to us, that's what we must do. If you're subject to the invitation of the Lord in any way, if you have any need that we can help you with, assist you in any way, even if it's just prayers for strength, we'll pray for you, we'll pray with you. We'll pray together these things.